Welcome to my channel. So in this video, I want to show you the best combo for working with local models with your agents or for coding. And this is my view. So for me, I feel the best way to run models on your PC right now, easy, simple. Whether you have a coding background or not, the best way to expose local models for your LM Studio. So I don't care about what you think. Maybe you might have a different view from me, which is fine. But there's a reason why I say this LM Studio. It's how easy this thing is to set up. So it has a GUI. So if you're using Mac, Windows, or whatsoever operating system you're using, all you need to do to get LM Studio up and running is just to download and install. So it comes with this desktop app. I'm going to be showing you shortly how you could use it for those of you that don't know how to. Then to be able to code for now with local models, I still feel ZCODE is the best harness for now. You might argue the fact that it was designed with GLM 5.2 in mind. But one of the things I will tell you is that I found this thing to be very, very incredibly useful. So when it comes to working with local models. So if you think about what ZCODE truly is, ZCODE is what you call a harness. So let me show you, according to this paper from LangChain, this is what a harness is. So it has your model where reasoning and decisions are being made. You have your context injection, like the prompt, and then you have actions, which is of course your two calls that your model will be. The entire thing here is what you call the harness. In fact, for example, Google has its own harness that you can use. For example, you see here, Google is saying, the Google Anti-Gravity SDK is a Python SDK for building AI powered by anti-gravity and Gemini. It provides a secure, scalable, and stateful infrastructure layer that abstract the agentic loop, letting you focus on what your agent does rather than how it runs. You see, so what something like ZCODE does for you is that it gives you the basics that you can build on. So it allows you to be able to enhance your harness very easy. Some of them, for example, if you're using something like Cloud Code, most of them make it very difficult for people that don't have coding backgrounds to be able to add skills. So let's go to ZCODE. Let me show you something. So in ZCODE, this is ZCODE. This is how the interface for ZCODE looks like. So this is how your ZCODE looks like. As you can see, I am working with a local model. Let me just say, how do you rate this? Just let's see the kind of how fast the response is going to be. See, the model is already thinking. This is 4 seconds. And you can see the response could be very, very fast. So I'm going to see when it starts coming up with something. So it took it like 19 seconds before it started responding. But look at how it is actually performing. This is a local model. I use it for so many other things, even for coding. And it's actually very useful. But let me tell you what actually makes it perform well with local models. If you're going to be using a local model to code, let's say peradventure you're using exactly what I'm using. I'm using LM Studio to expose my model. So this is how LM Studio look like. So when you install it, this is how it's going to look like. When you come to this search pane, you're going to see all your models. For example, it's going to give you best match depending on what operating system you're using. So you could choose GGUF and you could also choose MLX. So you could see this has staff pick. So this staff pick, basically they might have checked your system for RAM and look at the models that can fit into your system. For example, you see I am running this model, this particular one here. So you could, for example, run this 12-bit or run something smaller. But how do you actually make this model to perform? So after you have, let's say, downloaded the model, let's say I don't have this, for example. If I want it on my system, I just need to click on download. When you click down here, you could see other options. You could see other options for a particular model. So you could decide which one makes sense for you to install. For example, this one is a 12 billion parameter model. I can decide to just download it. So it's downloading. So when this model downloads, so the way you immediately it finishes downloading, you can load it automatically from here. But when you load it, so when you come here, for example, you see this one is being loaded. So these are other models I have. I could decide to click on them and load them. So, but for now, what I want to show you is that when you load the model, guess what you're seeing here? You're seeing two stuff here: the name of the model and also the context window. The context window is how much your model could take, like how much you could pass into your model at a time. So this is, if this context window gets exhausted, you need to compact. ZCODE will automatically compact your messages so that it keeps fitting in. So one of the things I want to show you now is, so you just take the name of this, your model. So in ZCODE, what you do in ZCODE is that come here, you come to manage model. So you just add a provider. So, and in case of this, I've added the one. So you just paste this URL, and then any model that you've loaded, you just have to paste the name of the model here and put that context window here. That's all you need to do. And then when you come back to your chart, you'll be able to select that model under that provider. So you see, that's how I'm able to select that model. So look at what is already happening. So the rating is up. So if you want it to perform very well, I'm not asking you to go and look for, don't go and create, download skills from skill marketplaces on the internet. So don't go and look for skills here. So I know you could, for example, come here. Let me minimize and show you. So you could come here, for example. So let's say skill.sh to look for skills. So these are like marketplaces on the internet where you could easily pull skills. So you could search for the skill you need. Let's say if you're going to be working with Fast API, so you have to look for the skill for Fast API. If you want to do things related to real estate, if you want to write document, if you want to work with academic writing, you can look for that skill. But the way I will advise you, this skill might be designed by somebody and the skill might be too minimal, or the skill might not be a great fit for ZCODE. So what I will advise is that just ask ZCODE. Within ZCODE, just tell it to create the skill for you. So you could say create skill and then use a better model. So for example, use GLM 5.2 to tell it to create skill for example, Nox. You see? So immediately I ask it to create the skill for Nox. I'm going to drive the whole of this process. So the beta model is going to create the skill for Nox. And one of the things, you could create a skill that also have scripts. So your skill could also have scripts, for example, that you see it's running the skill creator to create a skill for Nox 3 and Vue.js 3. So this is what is happening behind the scenes. So it will be creating that skill based on the way it feels the skill, and the skill will be stored here in your ZCODE folder. So you see what it's asking me, what I want to do. So that is it for scaffolding only, or existing app development, or full. So I will just say all. So I'm just going to continue, and you see where it's asking me where the skills should live. It should be project specific. For auto discovery, I want it to be available for all my ZCODE projects. So when you do this, after you've done this with this local model, with this like a beta model, so you've created your skill. So what happens is that when you now want to start working with your local models, so if, for example, I'm using this Gemma 4, you will now be able to, the Gemma 4 will be able to call, for example, before it starts working on Nox.js, it will already use a script that enables it to scaffold the entire project. So that means the project will be, first of all, well written, well scaffolded. That means the folder structure will be done based on what GLM 5.2 has specified. So it's like GLM 5.2 is helping your local model to do things in a good way. So it's defining how it should approach the problem or the issue. So when you do this and you now switch to your local model, so after you have done designing the skill, you now switch to your local model. So let's say the skill has been created, and now instead of GLM 5.2, I will now use this model, which is the Gemma 4-26B model, 26B A4B model. So that means it will be loading like 4 billion at a time. So what happens is that I can now start using this. So I can now start using this model now to develop full stack Nox application, because this model will be using that skill. It will be a little bit better than if I was using, if I just directly started using the model. Don't use the model to create a skill. Use a better model to create that skill, and then use the current local model to be doing development. So I can ask it, what skills do you have? So I think it's still creating the skill on the other section, so I don't expect it to list that particular Nox skill. But this is what I'm just trying to show you. This is how you work with local models. And ZCODE harness is so good. When I mean so good, that you won't even notice the difference. So you see 15 seconds to respond. Look at the skills I have. Already there's a skill for Nox that I've created before. So you see, it even tells me that there is a Nox skill here that is currently being created, but it's not complete. So you see what I already have out of the box. So all these skills, that means these local models have access to all these skills. It means that I will be benefiting from the harness that ZCODE developed for their own model. I will be using that harness to build my own application. So, and this is what we're talking about. So you see how it's grouping all the skill into different categories. So with this, your local model will actually perform almost at par with your paid models, and you'll be able to save a whole lot of tokens. And the way ZCODE is not like any other of your editor. You could use ZCODE for anything. You must not use ZCODE for development. You can use ZCODE for a lot of things. You can use ZCODE for deep research. You can use ZCODE for lead generation. You can use ZCODE. It has almost everything that most other. So you could see here, these are all my skills that are available in my workspace. You see here, this is import external skills. So I could import them globally. So if you watch my video in which I was setting ZCODE, I had to transfer all the skill I had in my cloud code to ZCODE. So you see, it also has plugins as well. That means you could also enable your own plugin. So it also has MCP servers. You could connect your own MCP servers. So ZCODE is really that good. So I would say it's really good for you to work with local models. So now let's go back and check what we were actually working on. So you could see now that, look at what it was able to do. So the Knox skill now, scaffolding, architecture, data fetching, testing, and deployment. I could improve the skill further using GLM 5.2 to handle things like XQL alchemy. And I could also to handle things like Docker Compose spec. And maybe this could be okay. So you could see now that anytime we do this, it will definitely start creating our Knox project. So now if I tell this model to create a crude app using Knox, it will go ahead and use that skill. So let's watch out and see what is going to happen. You see that it's going to scaffold the project using that skill. So let's watch. So I like checking at the thinking mode. The response here was quite fast, which is 10 seconds. You won't even believe that I'm working with a local model. Okay, sorry. Okay, the response for this model was 17 seconds or 10 seconds. Let's switch to the local model. So for the local model, we're just going to repeat this and then we're going to send it for the local model. So I have switched back, you see, to the local model. So let's see. I think the response time here, the other time was like 15 seconds. So in 15 seconds or so, we should expect it to start doing something from 16 seconds. So the order was 10 seconds for first response. We're still thinking. I think this took a little bit much time than expected. It's almost 30 seconds. And I can tell you why this happened. The reason why this is happening is that because we worked on, this is also something you should take note of. So if you work with a model like GLM 5.2, your context has increased. So you see GLM 5.2 did a whole lot of stuff. So when you want to now switch to this model, so what I will advise you in this case is that don't continue with this one. So what you would do rather is that go to a new section completely. Go and create a new task and paste it. It's still going to be able to use that skill. Now it's going to act better. It will have a new, so the context will be from scratch. So it will not really have a lot of messages. So you see, it started working in 9 seconds. That was because there was the length of the message was small. So this will save you a lot of response time for your model. So when working with local models, it will save you a whole lot of time than starting the chat. So it was tempting to just continue from what GLM 5.2, because it was a bigger model, it would have messed up with the context in such a way that working with a smaller model will now result to an issue, because the message sizes will be bigger. So you can see what is actually asking me here. Front end only, Knox front end only, using local state and mock data. Full stack. So let's just go for one for now. So I'm just going to submit. And so this is a local model actually. I also discovered that I'm on plan mode. So basically it's actually going to plan first before it. Anyway, the essence of this is not really to show you how a local model is actually going to outperform GLM 5.2 or general purpose models or other models. The purpose here is to show you that the best way to work with local models for now, for me, is using ZCODE and LM Studio. You load the model in LM Studio and then you connect them to ZCODE, and then you execute from ZCODE, and you make sure that you use a better model, which is GLM 5.2, to create your skill, and then use the smaller model to consume and use that skill for development. So I don't want to make the video to be very long. If you love this kind of content, you could assist me by subscribing so that I keep bringing it to you. So you could see here that this is the entire plan. When I approve this plan, it will definitely go ahead to create this application. And if you can see, the plan looks really amazing. So this is the data layer that will be mocked. You see there is tags, add tags, update tags, delete tags, and get tags by ID. This is the index space, this is the create tag space, and the edit. And then this is how it will style. So it looks completely in line with what I will want for my Nox CRUD application. So thank you for listening, and do subscribe to my channel.